Do mock toe shoes make good skateboarding shoes? Or is the mock toe inherently a flawed design to use? Or does it add some extra redundancy and some extra layers, some extra stitching that make it repairable? That's what we're gonna try to figure out by cutting apart this last resort, not toaster, the last resort shoe, and really trying to figure out if mock toes work as skate shoes. Is it a true moccasin construction? And does Last Resort just generally make good shoes?
What is this shoe? So the brand is Last Resort. The style is the VM006-mock toe. It weighs 13.5 ounces. It retails for a $95, which is pretty expensive for the current market. It's the same price as most of their low top skate shoes. Made in Vietnam. Their positioning on the website says, "Many have tried, many have failed. To reinterpret such a classic style is the stuff of dreams. We dove deep into the archives of our collective references to develop our version of the elusive mock toe shoe." As with everything we do, it's about refining details, near perfecting dimensions to end up with something that sparks the sense of want. VM006 Mock is the epitome of simplicity. It's free from the constraints of corporate guidelines, soothing to the eye, and ready to roll. What else could you want? So that is a mouthful of positioning, and you can buy these boots from our links below. We actually got these from the local skate shop Time Machine. Check them out in the links below. They're super sick. The owner is really cool. I go in there and talk to all the guys all the time. Like, hey, like what's popular? Like what shoes do you think we should do? What do you think about this shoe? Get all their opinions. Their links in the description. Go check them out. I mean, they sell shoes, boards, pretty much everything you can need. And I just like, supporting the homies, support the local homies, support your local skate shops. Go grab a pair. You can test them out for yourself. And that's it. So back to Sam from the past to go over history. Back in 1999, a company called iPath released a skate shoe called the Cat. I mean, it was a very like Clark's Wallaby, mock toe, puffy, grasshopper inspired skate shoe. When I was growing up, these were super popular. They kind of kickstarted a trend in skating of like mock toes. Like I used to have some DC villains is what they were called. They're like slip-on mock toes. But it was like a big trend, I feel like through the mid 2000s for sure. So like that's the era that Last Resort's kind of referencing in their positioning. Eventually that style of skate shoe kind of went away. iPath went out of business and anyone who skated or wore something like that kind of got made fun of or called old. But in 2020, Last Resort was started by Polar Skate co-founder Pontus Alv and a few of his friends to make vulcanized shoes that looked good, weren't covered in branding, and are skater owned, not backed by any corporate money or like investors. If you want a more comprehensive history of Last Resort, go watch the other video we did on them. Pontus Alv, he has a knack for reviving and releasing like old styles, like Polar Skate Co's line of pants inspired by the 90s, the kind of baggier stuff. But now, continuing the theme of like reviving old trends, Last Resort released these crazy mock toes. It happens to coincide suspiciously with iPath is coming back and releasing their same cats, those mock toes. Like I think they released like on the same day or like pretty close to the same day. So there might be some skate shoe drama in there somewhere. So I think it'd be really cool to do like an iPath versus Last Resort. I just couldn't find any iPaths. I feel like they're all sold out in the local shops around me. So, but while I love Last Resort as a company and I really want to like them, I like the shoes that they put out. I kind of like their like ethos. So me and a lot of skaters have a lot of problems with them because they kind of hurt your feet and they're just not super good to skate in. They're super comfortable for me to like walk in. I love walking in them, but like skating in them, there's just like not enough. So some of like the problems that me and other skaters have are they're pretty expensive for what they are at $95. They stretch like way too much. Like they just get so floppy. If you want floppy, they're really good for that, but like they're too floppy for me. They break in too much and they're pretty thin on the bottoms. Like you can see there's just nothing in these old, I think these are the VM001s. That's it, you're on the insole and that's it. So they're just thin. So that's kind of these shoes re-releasing in a nutshell. Like they used to be super popular and now they're trying to make them come back and be popular again. So we're gonna throw this over to Weston to do the leather breakdown because he's the leather daddy. But before we do that, this video is sponsored by Rose Anvil, specifically these Rose Anvil belts that we have. And I gotta say, like before I worked here, I'm not a leather guy. I didn't care about leather. I was like, oh yeah, leather belts, like whatever. And then I got my Rose Anvil leather belt. So they're made with like 8 to 9 ounce side of leather. It's like 3.2 to 3.6 millimeters thick. And if you're a fan of the channel, you know that like thicker leather is only used on like the toughest, most durable P&W work boot brands. Like they're $700 boots. They use 3.2 to 3.6 millimeter, just like really heavy duty leather. So that's the same leather we use on our belts. So really cool because they're also micro adjust. If you're like me and you kind of fluctuate weight in the cold winters and hot summers and you need a little extra room, like you're hitting that one, you're like, oh, it's a little too tight. We have these super cool micro adjust things where you can just take these screws out super easily, these little Chicago screws, and move them over and just like you can get that perfect fit wherever you need it. Because that's the one problem with like the belts that I have and any like leather belts is like, oh, maybe I have to punch an extra hole or something and that looks bad. So that's what I really like about these belts. It's something that you'll never know you really want to upgrade until you have one. So highly recommend it. Go check them out. They come in 3 sizes. There's a thin one. It's 3/4 of an inch. There's this one, which is 1.25 inches. And then there's the thick daddy, which is 1.5 inches, which is actually super sick. So go check them out on the site. So now that we covered all that leather stuff, let's throw it to Weston and he'll do the actual leather review of this shoe.
So now I'll start looking at the shoe and its materials and analyzing it, starting with the leather first. So obviously, since this is a skate shoe, it is suede leather, and this suede is about 1.6 millimeters thick, so right in that shoe thickness, and it's backed by a canvas backer. And what that does is it prevents suede from overstretching, because suede is notoriously stretchy because it's lower in that cross section, doesn't have that structural grain pattern, and so by adding canvas or some sort of fabric, it acts as a pseudo grain, holding all those loose fibers together, because as we've talked about, suede's awesome for skate shoes because it's really abrasion resistant, those little fibery hairs. And to back that up, we ran the puncture test and it took 138.5 pounds to puncture through. One thing that's worth noting is this black leather, Sam mentioned that it rubbed off on his socks every single time. And not that that's the worst thing, because our blood core boots do the exact same thing, but it's worth mentioning so that you know not to blow through all your nice white socks, to wear some black socks or something with them. And then if we look at the inside, this is where I really start to like this shoe, because for once, a shoe under $100 has a true leather internal heel counter cover. And what I mean by that is this patch right here that you always wear through your shoes, especially skate shoes, from that little bit of heel slip, it wears through because it's just like cheap fabric in most shoes, whereas boots and higher quality footwear has leather. So the fact that this last resort mock toe has a little piece of leather in the heel already won me over. Let alone the fact that it's using a real canvas for the lining, which I also love. It's a traditional material, it's fairly durable, absorbs your sweat. It's still gonna stink more than if it was just leather because it's a cotton canvas, because we burned it and it didn't seem to melt. But it is canvas, you know, it's kind of that like Converse style of shoe construction by having a canvas liner.
So for my skating opinion of like the mock toe shoe, I have never skated a mock toe. I had some serious concerns about like the shape, like the laces are very vulnerable. I don't know what's gonna happen if I kick through this. What I really liked, it fixes a lot of problems I had with old Last Resorts because there's a lot more structure, because in the old Last Resorts it's a hole cut. It's just like one piece of leather, which is really cool, but it stretches a lot. And so this, you got a couple pieces, it just adds a little more structure. Like you got the heel piece that adds more structure, you got the mock toe stitch itself that adds structure, and like the binding around the edges. The shape itself, because these ones, they're pretty narrow. They're not like Converse narrow, but they're quite narrow to like put your feet in. I wonder if you can even see the difference here. And I thought that was gonna be weird. Like you try them on and you're like, oh, there's a lot of room in here. That feels kind of weird. Like I like my toes to be pretty snug when I skate so you can like feel the flick and feel the ollies and stuff. But the wide toe box was actually sick. Like it was really good. And it's sick because like once you're done skating, you could wear these to church. But with all the problems that it fixed, it also brought on a ton of more problems that I wasn't expecting. I thought I was a little worried about. The laces blew out immediately. Like after one session, both sides the laces blew out. That's why we put in these sick logger laces. But that was a really big bummer because they're so exposed on the side. You do a couple ollies and they're gone. The mock toe, like up here, the actual mock toe stitch, chewed through insanely fast. Like I maybe skated it for 5 hours before I blew a hole out of the toe. I had to shoe glue it. That's what I was really worried about when I started skating these. I was like, that's kind of weird. Like I know how mock toes are made from working here for so long. And that's like a hard spot to have on a skate shoe because your two pieces are right in like the highest wear spot on the whole shoe. And it blew through immediately. Like I was really surprised. I guess I wasn't that surprised that it was gonna happen. I just thought it was gonna be a little more durable, or they did something secret in here to like stop that from happening. I mean, they did add the extra piece of leather around it to, I think, combat that a little bit, but it still blew through super fast. They also gave me some blisters like right here, like kind of like under my ankle, because they're so low cut and there's no padding there. So that's like the pros and cons of the actual mock toe shape. So if we move to the actual insole, it has the Cloudy Cush insole. I thought it was the exact same insole as the other Last Resorts. An upgrade on that first one that they had that was terrible, so they put this new fancier one in. But when I was skating it, it felt like way squishier. It was noticeably squishier, and I was like, oh, is it just because I have more room? Is it just because the shoe is a little different shape? It feels like it has more squish. But I took them out, and it was like, this one, it is much denser. White is old, black is new. So the old Last Resort one is definitely way denser. This one is squishier to the touch. The VM001 comes in at 30 to 33 Shore, which is about average for any insole you'd see. And then the VM006, the mock toe, came in at 25 Shore. So it's definitely softer, but it definitely felt better. I don't know, I felt better skating on this one than the old one. But honestly, I like this one a lot more than the other one. Moving on to the outsole. This has a different outsole than the VM001 as as well. You can see it's like kind of super textured. It almost gives it like a crepe rubber look to like make it look more like a Wallaby. When I was doing my research on this, I heard a lot of people didn't like it very much because it didn't last very long, and I'm going to have to 100% agree with that. This shoe just kind of fell apart when I was skating. Like the outsole, it's a super sick vulcanized outsole. It's super thin, but like I'm blasting through it in like 5 hours of skating it, which is way too soon. Like I don't know if you can see that right here. I kicked through and like there's a hole there. It's about to come through, and once the outsole goes on a vulcanized shoe, it's kind of done. I mean, you can fix the upper till the cows come home. You can shoe goo the whole dang thing to survive. The sizing was a little different, so I'm a 9.5 in these, and I think if I sized down, they'd be too short, and if I sized up, they'd be too wide. I had to offer an opinion of like sizing and stuff. I would say go on the size a little smaller rather than a little bigger because they break out really well. But one thing that is weird is they make your feet look like pretty small. Like looking down on them, you're like, oh, I have little tiny dainty like bound feet. But I really like these. Like the look of them, I thought I was gonna hate them, but I just really like the look of them. Cut this in half, see what's inside, see if there's anything else on the inside, so we'll go from there. We got them cut in half. Make sure to hit subscribe and like and, you know, do all the stuff the YouTuber call for support, etc. And the more that you watch these skate videos, the more skate videos we can do, because the less views they get, the less likely we are to do more. So if you like skate shoe content, keep watching and liking and subscribing for the skate shoes. So, all right, let's see what's inside. So now that these are cut in half, I did the foxing measurement to see why I was kicking through them so fast. And the old ones, the VM001s, it measures, you got about 4.5 millimeters of rubber right there at the toe. And on these ones, you only have about 3 millimeters of rubber. So you got about 1.5 millimeters less. And I didn't think that was gonna be a huge problem, but the rate I was busting through those, it turns out size does matter. It does kind of suck. I mean, there's nothing much in this shoe. It's the exact same construction as this shoe. For my full skate analysis. So honestly, like these skate, in my opinion, way better than like the VM001s. It fixes every problem I had with these. It's wider, like the shape of the upper is wider and roomier than most skate shoes I've been in. It doesn't stretch nearly as much as the old Last Resorts, which is super sick because it stays a little more stiff, I guess, a little more structure to it. I don't know, and these ones I kind of lost confidence doing like higher ollies because they break in so much, but these ones I felt really good in them the whole time I skated. But I was only able to skate in them for like 5 to 6 hours before I had to fix them and repair them and blow through the outsole. You've seen me skate, I'm not super good, so I imagine that someone that's really way better and has more flip tricks in their arsenal might blow through these shoes in like one session. The laces immediately breaking suck. Serious durability issues all around. Like it would be really cool if they could make like an upgraded version of this that's just like has a little more durable materials, maybe even use thicker leather, more reinforcements here and there, because I just blasted through these so fast, which sucks because I really liked skating in it. Like I was surprised how much I liked this shoe. I wish it was better, and like I really want to like this. It's like the exact same thing I said about the old videos. I want to like Last Resorts so much, but they like let me down on these weird levels. I just wouldn't skate in them. It's like a shoe that you can skate in. For $95 for 5 to 6 hours of skating, that's, I don't know, I can't do it. That sucks. Like I would be so bummed if this is all the money I had. I was like, I'm buying these, and then they were done in a week. I think you should buy the shoe if you want that, but if you actually want to skate a shoe, like a dedicated skate shoe, you can definitely find something better for the price. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm seeing it from a different light. If you skated these and you really like these and they last, let me know. I definitely think we should do an iPath versus Last Resort test, because I would be super interested to see how like the puffier, beefier iPath holds up. So if you want that, watch this video, because the more views it gets, the more likely we are to do an actual video.
So what is my overall take of this? Because I obviously wouldn't skate in these. I like these. I think they're pretty cool. They've come back. They used to be really popular like 15 years ago. I like this moccasin construction. I like that redundant layer over top. Just the fact alone that it has a internal counter cover that's leather and canvas lined. So personally, I would buy this because this to me is a little bit more subtle version of the Clarks, you know, while still maintaining some of the quality. At the end of all this video, is it a true moccasin construction? Well, the toe kind of is, but the fact that it doesn't wrap underneath and come up the sidewall and then sewn together makes it not a true moccasin construction. So that's the only one thing that I wish it had differently. But for the most part, I like this shoe a lot and I would buy a pair. So let me know what you think and your experience in these. And thank you for supporting these videos, just generally, but also specifically Sam's videos, because he has the real world experience and the skill to actually test these instead of just looking at the materials. And that's the real value that Sam brings to these videos. So thank you guys for supporting these and all the support that you do across the board with our handmade leather goods, our collaborations that are sold out. Drifter 3, Blood Core is probably gone by now, but it's really cool. So thank you guys. See ya.